Do nuns enunciate properly?
Do nuns enunciate properly? Jeez.
Listen, we always start with a cough and a laugh. I'd like to talk about the ramifications of mental health in tattooing. And I would like to see from your perspective as tattooists and mine as a shop owner and people who look after people, how does that affect our business?
It affects it completely. It's all of our business.
Yeah?
From the moment they walk in to the moment they leave, we're constantly thinking about how they're feeling and what they want to achieve from the whole thing.
Yeah. If you come to a tattoo shop, there's a base level need to have a tattoo, right? But we have no idea when they walk through that door what that need is driven by. So if it's, I want a tattoo because I'm 18, 19, I've not had one and I want it.
Yeah.
Right? That's just a pure happiness thing. What are the other reasons for having tattoos?
Memorials, body confidence, self-expression for one too. You know, like if you want to have more like feminine, masculine tattoos, if you're more comfortable, like if not comfortable, but not comfortable with your body, if you want to have a more feminine look, you get more feminine tattoos.
Yep. So a lot of it as well could be attributed to, you know, mental health instabilities, looking for backup.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's talk about the most obvious one that we see quite a lot. So there are quite a lot of self-harmers who have been through that journey, who then have these scars. So I thought it'd be interesting to tell people, one, that if you were to come to Madhouse Tattoo and hopefully other tattoo shops, you won't ever be judged.
No, definitely not.
Because if you're in a situation where you are embarrassed or you are still cutting, but a lot of them are able to be tattooed over, what, Mickey, do you need from a scar to tattoo over it?
It needs to not be fresh. Like, it needs to be at least like a year old.
Yeah.
And not got any colour in it.
Yeah. When the cut is new, right, there is all of this redness to it and all of that. And as it heals and goes over, the skin is domed, right? Underneath that, once the redness has gone from underneath the scar, that means that the skin is then healed sufficiently to take ink. What would happen should you tattoo a scar that isn't ready?
If you don't heal it and it's not ready, parts are going to fall out. With scar cover-ups, parts are likely to potentially fall out anyway, because the skin, it's been damaged, and it's not necessarily going to sit exactly where you want it to.
So does it affect the structure of lines?
Without a doubt, like my first tattoo was a scar cover-up, and there's quite a few lines in there where it just kind of hits a little bit to the left or right. Like you can see where it was a smooth line, but it hits the scar and it bumps up a little bit. Because
this is the first tattoo that you had on you.
Yep, my first one was a scar cover-up.
When you went in for that tattoo, did you understand the limits?
Not at all.
Did anyone explain it to you?
They didn't, but I didn't let them know that I had scars there.
Okay, so you turned up and told them.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we need to know in advance if the scars are healed? I suppose we do. It makes our life easier.
It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
If you're in a vulnerable position, though, you may not want to tell us.
No, but we're always welcome to have people come in for consultations in person if you don't want to send photos or anything like that.
I think that's to be said, isn't it? I mean, the whole point of us as a tattoo shop and a group of people who have life experiences, really, is if somebody comes to you. Let's go to you, Mickey. If someone comes to you with a problem like this, how do you address it when they come through the door and they explain to you?
I think it's worth. The thing is, you don't want to pry. You don't want to make someone talk about something that they're not comfortable with.
Yeah.
So it's a fine line between getting the information that you might need, whether it's how old the scars are, or if I don't know if it's really any of our business whether someone is still like self-harming. I don't think that really matters.
I think it can do in a certain way. Okay, I'm a bit more old school than you both are. So what I tend to do is cut across all emotion. So I don't play either side of emotion. I go straight through the middle. So I am like, okay, are you still harming in this area?
Yeah.
Right? Simply because if we do a tattoo and they cut on that might create all kinds of problems later on.
That could be a reason why someone would get a particular tattoo in like a certain area as well. If they've decided like, I don't want to cut this area anymore, I'll get a tattoo there because I don't want to ruin it.
Yep.
That's exactly what my partner did. She's got a forearm tattoo, and we've been working on it for a while, and she hasn't cut on that side since. We're waiting for the other side till things aren't as fresh.
Okay, so being specific, if you have fresh cut scars, we cannot tattoo on that. But to say that, what we can do is make plans. You're looking at healing. If it's deep and large, okay, you're looking at 2 years before you can cover that. If it's shallow and it's a white scar and it's on, you can tattoo over that. Now, the thing to bear in mind, and we can only speak for our shop here, is that we understand where this comes from, because you both have a certain amount of experience either in life yourself or with friends of yours and people around, as do I, as to, you know, not necessarily why people do this, but the end result of it. Now, the perfect scenario is when somebody has come out of that cycle in their life. So they are then wanting to hide, or not hide, they want to disguise the cut scars.
Yeah, move someone's eye away from scars.
Yeah, because sometimes those scars are more painful than, you know, they need to cope with every day. And also you have to remember as well that cutting and stuff like that is triggered, just like everything else.
Yeah.
So what are the best designs for tattoos, for over scars? What works best?
I find anything natural, so that it works with the scar shapes.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I did a Medusa piece on a friend a while back, and I used the scars as highlights within her face.
Okay.
So, like, I planned around where the scars were, and, like, I know how they're going to heal later in life. They're never going to go away, but they're going to be brighter and whiter. So I used them as highlights instead of trying to just like mask it and get all the way over it.
Okay.
That's a really good idea.
So black and covering is not the way that we're looking at it. What we're looking at is sometimes accentuating a tattoo using the scar tissue itself. That's clever. I'd never even thought of that.
But then you can get colour over scars as well. Like I've got a ship being struck by lightning, and the lightning strike is a massive fat scar that I just coloured yellow. And to look at it, you'd never see that it's a scar. It just looks like a big lightning flash.
Right, well, that's awesome. I mean, you know, when you're in a position where you want to move on with your life and you don't want to be judged by the scars that you have, having something taken away completely is pretty awesome. I've never self-harmed in that way. Obviously, I've taken a lot of drugs and I've done a lot of self-harming behaviour, so I kind of understand the trait. But I was stabbed as a bouncer on my forearm, and what I did was I had an ambergram. An ambergram, for those who don't know, is it says sinner when you hold it one way, and then you flip it up and it says saint the other.
That's cool.
So, but I mean, I literally just blacked out over the scar. Now, I'm lucky it was a big old scar, but all the black ink took. Now, a lot of the time there's going to be skin bounce with a scar, right? So you might have to go back 2 or 3 times on stuff like that.
But that's like nice and bold as well. It's something like when you have like fine lines and stuff and the fine lines start to blur out over a scar, that's when you have trouble. So something like thick and bold, like you've got solid black over the top of yours, Talon's got solid yellow over the top of yours. Like you're not putting fine lines or details over it, you're just kind of just solid over the top.
Solid over the top. I mean, you see, the thing about all of this is that there's usually a plan that can be made, whatever size scar you have. Like I say, you may have to wait until that scar flattens. And I've had conversations with a lot of people in this very shop about their plans for the future. Now, also, what I will say is, should you come here, should you get a tattoo from us, what you'd expect, is I will ask you a few questions. I will say, right, are you ready to take this step? Is this what you really want to do? Are you ready to finish with this part of your life? And then they will say yes. We have also been in situations where we are tattooing people instead of them cutting. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to say this, and I think you'll agree with me, and if you don't, then let me know. Should somebody message us or say something like, I'm thinking of cutting, I just need to look at that, and somebody messaged the shop, what response are we going to give?
As helpful as we can. We'll try and get you in as soon as possible. Obviously, we're booked up fairly far in advance these days.
Which is good, but should we, I mean, you said to me, Mickey, I'm pointing at people like they can see me, right? So what did you say the other day about people who did message us? What would we do?
We try and just fit someone in for something small, like first thing the next day kind of thing, like before we open, no one else is in the shop. It's just so that someone who is in that mindset of like, I need to be like, I'm in pain, I need to let this out, I need to have control over the pain that I'm feeling. And hopefully if someone could message us and be like, I need this kind of release, hopefully in us saying like, come in at 10 tomorrow, we'll sort it, then at least there's some kind of like not anticipation, but just like it's gonna happen.
So they're back holding the reins again.
Yeah, it's kind of
harm
like
reduction.
Yeah.
Also, someone explained to me a while ago, and you said this the other day, that it's about controlling. You can control your pain that you're having by self-harming.
Yeah.
So if you're controlling that pain, then if you know you can step in here and be tattooed, then you're controlling that in a way. Obviously, it's through us, but we can give you an out. Now, we are not mental health professionals. I am not offering to tattoo the world. But if you are in real trouble, and if you just wanted to reach out to someone and say, today, I just need to cut today, just to have someone listen, or just to have someone acknowledge the fact that you're alive, maybe you're alone, then, I'm willing to take that on, in as much as I can't solve your problems. I cannot give you a way out of this, but if you need someone who will listen, right, who will just acknowledge that you're there, and if we can help, we will, then I think it's important. Were we all in the same mindset of that? Have I overreached myself?
No, absolutely.
Okay.
Like,
we just want to support our clients as much as we can.
And it becomes a situation where a lot of the time you're on your own and there is no one who understands you. Perhaps if you are young, and okay, I hate to say this, but you have to be over 18 to be tattooed, whatever your problem is.
Yeah.
Okay? Because otherwise, that's not condonable, us tattooing anyone under the age of 18, and it won't happen.
Yeah.
I think it's important that if we as a group of people in service industry, which we are in a way, can help people who are isolated, are lonely, are needing just some affirmation, then I am more than happy to do that. When you walk away from that subject, it all boils down to the customer service things of just looking after the customer at the right time. Now, I have also been in situations where I get a phone call from somebody I know who is a customer of ours, and they said to me, my father died yesterday, I need a tattoo now, and I need this, and I need this, and it became this garbled message of stuff they needed. What they actually needed was some space between that grief and their outward ability to show that grief.
Yeah.
So, okay, moving on to loss. I mean, how many tattoos have we done recently that are celebrating somebody's life? I mean,
so many.
Yeah. So it is a big part of what we do.
Yeah.
What's okay? What are people looking for when they get a memorial tattoo? What are they looking for?
I'd say reminders. It's a thing to look at and hold close to you. You can have it with you always and always feel like that person's with you.
Yeah.
Well, you see, I have a problem with grief tattoos in as much as just at the base level of it. There are people who rush into these things, and that's a massive mistake.
Yeah.
Because what they're thinking is that without an outward show of some kind of celebration, they're thinking that people will think that they don't think well of their parents or whoever has left them. The brutal fact of the matter is, I don't think people think about that at all.
No, but when someone close to you does pass away, you want to grab at anything you possibly can, I think, when it comes to like that, especially that initial grief. So it makes sense that people do reach out to us for tattoos, like in that like initial response.
Do you think I'm right then in saying to people you need to wait?
Yeah.
I would say so, because you don't want to rush into any decision, let alone a memorial decision, because like my first tattoo again is a memorial tattoo. I got it before my dad passed, but it is a memorial tattoo for him, and it's very big on my entire forearm, and it's there with me always, and like I can't not look at it, and sometimes I wish that I'd got it in a less visible spot, so I didn't have to think about it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I get that.
is an interesting point.
It's, you see, when you've made this massive step, okay, and also we live around tattoos. We tattoo 24/7. It feels like, and we are always thinking, because that's our world. People outside of here don't think about tattoos. They don't see them, and they're not as used to them as we are, right? So obviously, if you come to me on face value and ask for a tattoo, I'm going to give it to you. Right, because that's what we do.
Yep.
But also, we have to have some kind of social conscience.
Yeah.
We have to be able to give people backup, right? But also, sometimes part of our job is to talk them out of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that makes me think it's not like to do with a grief tattoo or anything, but I was talking to someone recently about she was having some script across her chest.
Yep.
And the quote was, "I just want to feel something." And I was like, don't put that near your tits.
Yeah.
Like, think about that one a little bit more.
Yeah.
To like thinking about placement and how we understand more about how other people react to seeing tattoos. I think just because we're around it so much.
Yeah. I think that's the point I'm making.
Yeah.
Because they are, I mean, I'm covered from head to foot in tattoos, literally. My palms, my feet, everything. The only thing that isn't is my face, because my mum would shoot me, right? She's been dead 20 years or whatever, but my mum would shoot me if I got a facial tattoo. I don't think my wife would be too happy, it has to be said.
Probably not.
Right, but when you are so used to that being an expression, an outward expression, right, it's hard to put the brakes onto it. But when you're not used to that, but you have a few tattoos, people do tend to grab on to the tattoo to be the only thing you can do. And I think that's detrimental. So I will ask them, if it is the day before, I would just say no.
Yeah.
And I'll say, look, I'm really sorry, but if you come back to me in a couple of weeks and you've had time to think, then we will do whatever you wish.
Yeah. You shouldn't be making any kind of decision when you're in that frame of mind, like let alone permanent decisions like
you
tattoos.
You shouldn't even drive a fucking car, pardon me. You shouldn't, you just learned somebody really close to you's dead, right? That's a big fucking deal. I keep swearing, but I apologise. But it is a big deal, right? These people are part of your life day in, day out. I remember when my mother died, and I did all that, and I'll tell you what I did. Right, she died in Ipswich Hospital, and we all knew it was coming, kind of thing. And that day, I knew she was going to go, so I went to I think it was called Planet Ink in Ipswich, and because I used to run a tattoo convention, they all knew me. So I phoned him up and I said, "Mate, I need a tattoo. I need you to not ask any questions. I just need you to do it." Right, and that was Chaos from Matt Penn. Yeah, because I have Chaos on one bicep and Mapem on the other. So basically, this guy, and I'm really sorry, I cannot remember his name. I think it was Ian. Took me into his shop, closed the shop. Right, he tattooed the inside of my forearm, which is the single most painful place in the universe, other than your ribs, is your armpit.
Yeah.
Right, and then he tattooed me, and then after he was finished, he didn't say, "Right, are you done?" He said, "Right, do you need anything else?" And we went and had a pint, and then I rode my motorcycle back to the hospital and then dealt with what I had to, because that was my coping mechanism.
Yeah.
That was not, however, a memorial tattoo, that was my coping with what I knew was coming.
Yeah.
And I think that's valid as well. It isn't just after the fact. You're coping with situations. Now, if you, and I am not saying that I am the same as somebody who self-harms, but what I am saying is I equated pain with a release from that situation.
Yeah.
I'd say it's very similar. Like I've done similar things myself when I've needed an outlet for pain. Instead of picking up a knife or anything like that, I've picked up a tattoo machine and just given myself a little tattoo, and it's given me a little bit of endorphins, a bit of pain release, and I've felt better.
Something to concentrate on.
Yep.
It's enough to break that cycle.
Yeah, definitely.
To pull you out of a certain mindset. So if you are an ex self-harmer, or I suppose, are you an ex self-harmer? I suppose in theory you're always the same as an alcoholic, same as a drug addict. But if you are that and you've come out of it and you're using it as therapy, tattooing as therapy, is that healthy? Is that a healthy thing to do?
It's more healthy.
Yeah, I'd say arguably much more. Like, again, when I got my first one, like, before that I had a hoodie I'd used to wear constantly through any kind of weather. Didn't matter how hot it was, I'd have my arms covered all the time.
Because they were scarred?
Because they were scarred.
Okay.
The second I started getting tattooed, I started getting my arms out, and I started looking at my body more for what I could get tattooed there than the bad I saw.
Okay. So you had literally had a positive experience through tattooing. That's kind of awesome, right? So it has the power to make things better.
Yeah, it gives you so much more body confidence.
Yeah, that is such a big part of...
Even if you're not getting it as like a self-harm thing, just getting a body confident boost.
Yeah, like for instance, like I used to hate my legs, never wore shorts, anything like that. But since having my legs tattooed, like I'm more than happy to wear shorts, and it means that if I'm walking down the road and someone is looking at me, I can just think like, oh, they're just looking at my tattoos because I have them. Like whether they like it or not, that's none of my business. But they're just looking at me for my tattoos. They're not looking at my fucking legs jiggling about.
Do you know what? What you just said, right? What they're thinking is none of my business.
Yeah.
Right? That is the single most important thing to all of this, right? Is that it's nobody's business, right? Somebody's slagging you off, somebody's doing you down verbally or looking at you in a bad way or judging you or anything. That's none of your business. That's their baggage. Let them carry it. Let those people carry all their negativity and all of their bullshit, right? Let them hold on to it because it's really heavy.
Yeah.
And after a while, you're negative to everyone. And I've been there, and I've been that person. I've held up negativity about situations and places. To be fair, I was justified. But after a while...
it just rots you.
Yeah. You become this person that's negative about everything.
Yeah.
There is no sunshine, man.
It just gets so bogged down. I know a few people, and I just don't want to be around them because they have nothing nice to say about anyone.
There is, don't get me wrong, I am not little Jimmy Ray of Sunshine, right? If anyone calls me Jimmy, there'll be trouble, right? But, okay, but in a real way, since I have kind of changed my outlook, things do get a lot easier, right?
Yeah.
Okay, in this shop, right, the way we are now, there is a positive vibe that most of our customers have actually commented on.
Yeah.
They've told us that it's a nice place to be and it's this and it's that and we do all this. Now, I'm not saying that we've changed anything and it hasn't, it wasn't terrible in the past and blah, blah, blah. What I am saying is the future is brighter because we have a positive outlook on things, right? Now, a lot of that is me sorting my own head out, right? But would you come to work in a tattoo shop where there was miserableness every day?
Well, I have. Not anymore. That's not on the cards for me anymore.
Okay, so explain that. What was happening?
Well, they were just... I don't know what was wrong with them. They were just miserable. And they'd shit-talk clients. They'd put a downer on everything.
It's so uninspiring as well. Like, I want to come into a shop that makes me feel good and want to be creative because that's my life.
At the end of the day, when you are creative and you have that outlet, right, it's guided by who you are at that moment.
Yeah, it's your decision.
Yeah. And you can control, right, this is sound really puerile, but you can control how you look at life as a whole. Now, this gets into a whole muddy area, right?
Yeah.
If you are bipolar, have depression, whatever you're supposed to call it these days, right, there are days where you cannot cope, okay?
Yeah.
And if you are that way, you need to seek help. Okay, that's all I can say about that. Right, I come from a family where my mother was very depressed on different times. My father's gone through depression recently because he's 85 years old and he had cancer and all of that, and he's come out of it. You can tell by talking to these people what frame of mind they're in, right? And if they need help, then I would suggest that maybe you should talk to them about what they need and what they're doing. But in a service environment, again, service industry, we should do our best to be as bright and as helpful as we can be. But what happens if we have a bad day? What do you do? How do you get past that?
Just have to be professional.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, once I get in the tattoo zone, all things kind of just fade away for me. Tattooing's my happy place, so I kind of just let it all wash off my back and leave all my problems at the door.
Yeah.
I have to say that was too easy. That's why I was leading you by the nose to do all that. But I know that, I mean, I don't know how you feel about tattooing. How does tattooing make you feel?
I feel really similarly. Like, I read in an art book once that sometimes once you get into painting, which is the same for me as tattooing, that it's kind of meditative. Meditative. And all that. It's kind of like when you're driving a journey that you know really, really well, you'll be driving down through roundabouts, like all sorts of kind of maneuvers that you've done a million times, and you'll get home and you're like, I didn't concentrate on any of that. Like, how did I not crash?
Oh man, I've done that.
Yeah. And it's that kind of state of mind where you know exactly what you're doing. You're not thinking about anything. Like, your mind just clears because you've just got this one thing to do.
So that concentration and that zone that you get into in tattooing, is that helpful and cathartic to you as people?
Yes.
Incredibly. Yeah.
Okay.
It calms the beast within.
Yeah, I get that. Do you know what? That's a bit of a breakthrough. That's an eye-opener for me, because obviously, you know, I don't tattoo anymore, and I sit in an office answering the phone, talking to glove suppliers, who incidentally are very nice people, and they've just given me a great deal on gloves. But what I think I'm talking about there is that's a surprise, that it's not a one-way street. It's not outward happiness for customers and nothing for you guys.
Yeah.
So when you found the right shop and where you find the right environment, then you can prosper and flourish.
Yeah.
I think that's important, isn't it?
Yeah, you kind of almost have to like feel at home in your workplace.
Yeah.
I do have, well, you see my office, I have all my crap that I can't have at home because we have crap there too. Right? But like all my I've got a thing for religious iconography, right? I have a Jesus and a couple of Virgin Marys and some prayer bits, and everyone's rolling their eyes going, and it's not anything to do with being religious. I just like iconography. So my office is full of my stuff that I like.
Yeah, you surround yourself with the things you like, and you've done the same thing in your room too.
Yeah, you've got one painting on the wall.
One painting.
One painting.
It's my favourite painting.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a little... Is that a troll up there?
Yeah, one of my customers bought that for me the other day.
See, but that's the thing as well. You get
really
like little gifts from customers, and you display it, and it just brings joy to your heart having these little trinkets
really
all around
nice.
us.
Who bought that? When was that?
That was Alice.
Yeah, okay.
Her mum was getting tattooed here because she was hanging out for the day. She went to the charity shop to buy a bunch of stuff, and she saw this troll doll, because we were talking about troll dolls before. She saw it and was like, Mickey has to have this.
That's really
so now I do.
Right. How cool is that, right? Somebody, right, Alice, we know them quite well.
Yeah.
Right? And, you know, Alice went out and her mum said, I can't give her any more money, she'll just go and spend it. I remember that much.
Yeah.
And now it makes sense, because she went to the charity shop and bought you a gonk or a troll or whatever it's called. Always remember, Jim, if you turn away from the microphone, no one can hear you. Okay, well, I've had two revelations. One, you have to remember that also, when we're doing this, the people who are getting tattooed, this is on them for life.
Yeah.
Right? This is a statement of who they are for life.
Yep.
Yes, you can get laser. Yes, you can get cover-ups. But if you treat it like something that's transient and can go, you're in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Because if we tattoo you, that in theory should last forever. Now, how as a tattoo artist do you get over the gravitas of the fact that you're scarring somebody? No, you're colouring somebody for life. You're not scarring anybody. Don't shout at me for saying that. How do you get over that, Mickey?
It's hard.
Yeah.
Like, it took a really, really long time for me to be not comfortable with it, but like the idea that you're changing someone's body forever is so heavy. Like, it's such a big thing in your mind. And you just have to have the confidence that you're going to do it right.
Okay. Where does that confidence come from?
I want to say their reactions, usually.
Yeah.
When you finish the tattoo and they're like, can I give you a hug? This means so much. Like,
So it's a cumulative, yeah?
Yeah, it's a snowball, 100%.
Right, when you're an apprentice
oh,
and you're starting that and you do the first one for the first time, and I remember you doing that.
Terrifying.
It is absolutely terrifying. So I think it's probably useful to say that if you've done a proper apprenticeship and you've gone through all of that, and I know we keep talking about this, but it's important, right? If you go and get a certificate for £4,000, and it gets more expensive every time, and I'm going to mention this every damn podcast because I hate the people, right? If you go and get a tattoo certificate and pay for it for a day and a half, 2 days, 3 days, even if it was a month, you are still not going to be mentally prepared to do the job that we do every day. What does it? So, would you say that the longevity of your apprenticeship helped you get the ability to put ink into skin on people?
I'd say for sure, but also the fact that they told me to tattoo myself before I was allowed to tattoo anyone, so I understood the gravity of what I was doing. It's like, don't get me wrong, I didn't mess it up that much, but I'm living with it now. And,
Yeah, I get that.
you know, like, it's a good thing to look back on and see how far I've come, but, you know, you need to be aware you're changing people for life.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I remember it was Brooke you tattooed.
Yeah,
first,
he was
right?
my first
Okay,
human.
I remember you were shaking, right?
Yeah.
To the point of distraction, and we had to like give it calm. Now, that shows a respect, and that respect level for human life, if you like, or human, well, what am I looking for? Well, that respect for bodies and skin and the people you're tattooing never really leaves you, does it?
No.
You stop being scared of it.
Yeah. But once you stop caring as much as we do, then you need to just stop.
There's a lot of that about.
Well, not only that, like, there's the pain side of it too, not just the permanency of it, it's the pain we put people through. That can be quite jarring and hard to deal with sometimes, because at the end of the day we have to get our job done. Whether you can sit for it or not is a different thing. Like, we're not going to push you past your limit, but we do need to get certain things done. Like, if the line work isn't done, we need to get it in before you come back.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to make. A surprise point for the end of the podcast is, if you don't know what your limits are, don't reach for numbing cream. Don't come to us and say, I want numbing cream, I'm not having it, right? Let me tell you about numbing cream, the reality of it, right? It's a placebo. Yes, it will stop it from hurting for a little bit, right? But then the pain, how do you think it's going to be when the pain starts coming through? If you're having a tiny little bit, then that's fine. But understand this, for a tattooist, one, it gives you goosebumps and turns your skin to leather. So it makes our job a lot harder. Also, what happens when that wears off when you're having a larger one and you really start to feel the pain?
Yeah, because I imagine you don't get that. Like, after a little while, your skin starts going a bit numb anyway. So I think if you use numbing cream, that step is completely skipped. So you don't actually get used to it.
No, I've tattooed people with numbing cream for long sessions. About 2 hours in, it gets incredibly painful, and it just doesn't help. And it stops it saturating well too.
Yeah,
like,
I've seen a lot of people talk about that recently, where people have posted pictures of, like, we use numbing cream on this part, and you can see, like, even the difference in the colour, even if it's the exact same colour, exact same application method, like, the colour is just not saturated or even changed.
By stopping the pain element, you are also formulating a barrier against the ink going into your skin.
Yeah.
It stops your body reacting in time as it should, and getting the blood to it, which helps your body stick onto the ink and hold it in place.
Also, I mean, people will say, oh, well, all your tattoos are really old, because I'm nearly 50. I've had 2 very new tattoos. One done by Talon on the left-hand side of my neck, and one done by Sarah at Gentle Mix in London Colney, which they're both ravens, right? One is real life raven. I don't know, real life raven, and one is Neotrad, right? Now, both of them are disgustingly painful, but I tell you this, if I'd have suddenly had the pain door opened halfway through, I would have had to have stopped. Because I was there at the beginning, obviously, right?
Up.
What happens is that, and I'll tell you this is my experience of being tattooed, and tell me if it's different from yours. When it first starts, you start to panic. And you go, oh, I've got a long way to go. This is hurting me. This is really hurting me. What have I done?
Right? I'm in danger.
It's the what have I done?
Yeah, the what have I done part, right? And then after that panic, that lasts about a minute, right? And then you tell yourself to shut up. Then you tell yourself to grow up. Then after a while, you realise it doesn't hurt as much anymore because your body has accounted for it.
Yeah.
All your endorphins immediately run from Endorphinville, wherever the hell that is, to where you're being tattooed. Once that's happened, then the pain is spread, right? And you start to get used to it, which then nullifies it a little bit. So you go a bit, you go numb, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you this, as I've told you, when you were tattooing me for the last 20 minutes of of the neck tattoo you did on me, Talon, I wanted to kill you for the last 20 minutes.
I am aware.
Because every time his machine went away from me just to put ink on the needles, I thought, that's it, it's over, that's it. And then he would come back.
I do that for every single tattoo that I've ever had.
So, is your experience the same? Do you have that moment of panic at the beginning?
Yeah, I remember getting my thigh done, and it's like massive piece, and he started putting like 2 lines in, and I was like, what the fuck have I done?
Now, listen, let me tell you that what the fuck have I done moment happens to everyone, right? Does it happen to you, Tal?
It does, mostly on the super painful spots like my stomach and palm, but since I've got them out of the way, most of the other ones are a breeze.
Yeah.
I don't find anything a breeze anymore. Only the fact that I have done all of the nice areas. I've even done some of the painful areas. I think apart from the top of my chest, which I need redoing, I think I'm done for tattooing for a while, having had 2 neck tattoos in a month.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Right, so that's me, who is used to tattooing all the time. I've drawn a line for a while. I'm going to forget, right?
Yeah.
Human beings do not remember pain.
Yeah.
Right, so somebody who was screaming, squirming and crying on your tattoo bed, right, 1 week, will phone you 3 weeks later and go, do you know what, I thought I'd have another one. And you're like, hey, what? What do you mean, what?
Yeah.
You just got to deal with it, right? The best way of dealing with tattooing is make the decision you're having it and just do it.
You just got to get on with it.
Yep, breathe through it.
Yeah, concentrate on your breathing.
Or if you want to be distracted.
Or is it? I mean, I don't know. Hey, I'm
sure they might help, actually, the kind of exercises that you get taught.
Yeah. The deep breathing, the whole breathing thing, that helps anything, whatever you're doing. I remember I had a motorcycle crash and I smashed my leg to bits, and I remember the woman who was on the side of the road, very gently, she called an ambulance for me, and she said, you need to breathe, dear, you need to breathe. Now, I tell you this, I passed out 4 times on the side of the road before she turned up, and when she did, she kept me focused and the breathing. So if I can cope with that kind of pain and you do it, breathing is a beautiful thing, because it distracts you from what's going on.
Yep.
So, to finish with, what's the best coping mechanism for you? So for me, I don't have any. I drift away and I try and pull myself mentally away. I mean, what works for you when you're being tattooed? Do you watch TV? Do you listen to music? What do you do?
I do nothing. I literally turn into a corpse. I will not move a muscle of any part of me. I will not be looking at my phone, nothing. I can barely talk to people, which really sucks, because whenever I get tattooed, I want to chat to the other tattooists.
Yeah.
But I sit there in dead silence, just like, this is happening.
Okay. Also, just one thing quickly then. The person tattooing you will try and talk to you for a while.
Yeah.
right, to make you feel comfortable. Once they see how you react, if you shut down, they'll leave you alone.
Yeah.
If you talk like a jabberer, right, they'll understand that's what's going on and they'll talk to you. You. Just one little note, you do have to remember they're there to do a job too, so they might not answer you the way you want to be answered. So just bear that in mind. What's your coping method? What do you do when you're tired?
I think I just like a chat.
Bit of a chat?
Listen to some music. I like listening to other people chatting as well. I know, like, I haven't been tattooed for a while, but last time I was getting tattooed, I was in quite a busy shop, and just listening to everyone's conversations was just, I think I do that all the time anyway, but...
I think you're either a distraction person or you're a deal with it person.
Yeah.
Me personally, I can't listen to me. The last time, actually, my wife was there just talking to me about marketing this place with you. So I had something to focus on, so it was distraction. With my neck and Sarah was talking to me about AI. So obviously a conversation helps me, you know, and it's everyone has to find their own way of coping. But I tell you this now, everyone, however much you feel pain, however much you don't like needles, you will find a way to cope.
Yeah.